going on, guys? Good morning. Welcome back to United View. Hope everyone is doing very well. Happy Thursday. How are you all doing? I hope you're all doing good. We are back for another edition of the Transfer View. And my, oh my, we've got quite a bit to discuss. We're going to be discussing Erik ten Hag being backed by Sir Jim Ratcliffe, backed by Ineos, backed by the new football leadership team at Manchester United, back to not necessarily secure a top 4 finish this season, saying that there are other variables, that the other metrics that Sir Jim Ratcliffe is looking at when it comes to the Manchester United manager. So we'll be chatting a little bit about that. Of course, the squad for pre-season was announced yesterday. We know who's going to be travelling out there, who's going to be flying out there. They've actually flown out there already. But we also know, I suppose, just as importantly, who's not going to be flying out there, who's not as part of the squad. Interesting yesterday, I mentioned this yesterday morning, that there were some names being thrown around of this person's going to be included, that person's going to be included, this person's going to be flying out on the pre-season tour, and they're not. They're not. And we kind of knew that they wouldn't. But, yeah, it was very weird. We're also going to be talking about fullbacks. Fullbacks coming out of the announcement yesterday about the pre-season tour and the squad was a big topic of discussion. Looking for a left back, looking for a right back. Names have been thrown around there, so we'll be chatting about that too. Plus Fulham possibly preparing a new bid for Scott McTominay, but with the news last night that seemingly Fulham are going to secure a move for Smith Rowe from Arsenal, how does that affect everything too? So we shall see. So if you haven't already, click the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. I can see people filing in the chat as well. Tabrez says, morning family. Jay Blackman says, good morning, UV family. Kristen's there, says, morning all. Simon says, big up, UV fam. Washington says, morning from South Africa. Catnap says, good morning, I woke up because you're live. Wow, thank you very much. Thank you very much indeed. Eddie, not happy, says, good content. Cringe polls, not good luck. But it's all right. It's cool. Good morning, Eddie. Good morning to everyone. Coy, good morning. Marion, good morning. Mark's in there says, good morning. Everyone's filing in and having a good morning, I hope, as well. Right. Let's talk about a really interesting article written by Jamie Jackson yesterday evening. Let's talk about Erik ten Hag being backed and actually his position being at least publicly secured in the eyes of Ineos. We know that Erik ten Hag had his contract extended by the new football leadership structure at Manchester United. Not a new contract, same details, same finer details and all that kind of stuff involved in it. Same fine print, same power, seemingly, even though he has said that he has had some power taken away from him when it comes to recruitment and scouting, which is good, which is, even he says, is the right thing. But it would appear certainly Ineos are backing him. This is what Jamie Jackson had to say about all of this last night in this article from The Guardian. He has said that Erik ten Hag is not under pressure to guide Manchester United to a top 4 finish next season, with Sir Jim Ratcliffe prioritising considerable progression of the team as the man in charge of football operations at United aims to establish sustained excellence there. Continues by saying, while ten Hag's ambition is to lead United to as high a position as possible, and Ratcliffe's Ineos-led football department want the same, there is a recognition there are no guarantees next season as the club rebuild, and that establishing a firm foundation will allow ongoing success. Jackson also says, in concert with the sporting director Dan Ashworth, ten Hag's remit is to significantly improve on-field performance and off-field standards. After United finished 8th last season, their lowest of the Premier League era, there is a recognition that all areas of the football policy require repurposing. The 60-plus injuries that seriously affected the side's performance last season have also been assessed, with ten Hag's wish that pre-season be shortened to ensure players receive more rest adhered to. Last summer, United played 8 matches across over 15,000 miles, taking trips to Oslo, Edinburgh, New Jersey, San Diego, Houston and Las Vegas. This year, there are 6 matches, including the Community Shield against Manchester City on August 10, across over 13,000 miles, taking in visits to Trondheim, Edinburgh, Los Angeles, San Diego, and South Carolina. So, according to Jamie Jackson, ten Hag, it's not necessarily about finishing in the top 4 this season. It's not about getting into the Champions League. It's about on-field performance, and anything can happen. And it's a bit of an interesting story, this one, because you would think, not necessarily, I suppose, that it would go hand in hand. I suppose the way that I look at this is, if Manchester United finish, let's say, 5th. Let's say we finish 5th, or let's say we finished even 6th. But it's really, really tight in the top 4. There's a couple of points in it. Manchester United have played well. There's stuff that you can hang on to there, and you can go, actually, tell you what, we have played some really good stuff this season. We've just been a bit unfortunate because of this, because of that, and we won the Europa League instead, or we won another trophy instead. I think that's what they're trying to say. I think that obviously the headline of that article saying, Manchester United don't have to get top 4 and Ineos will be okay with it. You go, well, there's certain sort of stipulations involved in that, isn't there? Certainly, if we have a season like last season, Erik ten Hag will be in massive, massive, massive trouble. And I think, in all honesty, if he doesn't get top 4, I think there will be huge pressure on Erik ten Hag. You have to remember here that it's not as if the knives aren't out anymore. It's not as if, for me, last seasons in the past, I've put it behind me. I'm not dwelling too much on that anymore. I'm firmly focused, I can only speak for myself, on now and the upcoming season, what Manchester United are doing at the moment. Sure, last season you learn from it, but you don't dwell on it, that kind of thing. But there are a lot of people that are. Certainly the media are. Look at the example I used the other day of the Rosenborg result. That's pre-season. People freaked out. People freaked out that they lost the first pre-season match. And a lot of it was directed once again towards, Erik, he doesn't know what he's doing. He's an idiot. He hasn't learned anything from last season. This season's going to be another disaster. So that's pre-season. Just wait until Manchester United lose a match in the Premier League, which we will, by the way. We're not going to go invincible this season. We're not going to win the league this season. But the moment that first loss happens, you'll be like, oh, here we go again. This one. Because most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, if you lose a game, you probably haven't played your best. So it'll probably be in keeping with a performance that can be criticised and can be picked apart. And it will be, this is the problem. It's going to be an 8th place finish again. It's going to be a 10th place finish again, blah, 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 blah. So that's why I say is I do think he has to, maybe, shall we say, not finish top 4, but he has to qualify for the Champions League this coming season, I think. Whether that is by, obviously, qualifying in the top 4 or winning the Europa League, I think that's what he needs to do. And even then, of course, that won't negate, or it won't make, people that have made their mind up on him, completely fall off or anything like that. But I do think it is encouraging, certainly, that heading into a season, there is this sort of public backing. We talked with Dan Ashworth the other day when he released his column, he's obviously done a few public statements since becoming the Manchester United sporting director with some of the signings and obviously with the announcement of Erik extending his contract. But in that article, he talked about, Erik being the right man and Erik being the one to sort of guide Manchester United forward. And there has been a lot of public support for him from Ineos over the last few weeks, which I think is really positive. And I think that it's a positive that certainly the line coming from the club in pre-season, as it should be, by the way, the Manchester United manager job is already the most pressurised job in the world. Certainly one of them, if not the top pressurised job. The last thing that Ineos need to be doing is putting feelers to journalists or anything like that. Should be going, well, if he doesn't get top 4, he's going to get the sack. What kind of stuff is that? It's just stupid. That might be the reality, but certainly they should be putting that out to the media at this point in time. It should be nothing but public support, nothing but public backing. We believe in Erik. He's our guy. We went through the process. We've had conversations. We can work with him. He can work with us. It's about the what's happening on the pitch. It's about the team performance. But as I mentioned, when you really look into it, when it comes to about top 4 and stuff like that, it's not necessarily about that. It's about performance on the pitch. That goes in hand, really, isn't it? If your performance has improved on the pitch, you'll finish higher up the league and you'll get into the top 4. If you play well, you've got more chances of winning trophies. And we've played poorly last season. We still managed to win a trophy. So the pressure's on regardless. So it's an interesting one from Jamie Jackson. But when you do take a step back, it's kind of really redundant what he's saying there, in the sense of pressure's on. Pressure's always on. We saw that last season. That was my critique of Erik ten Hag last season, where I thought he was in massive trouble. He didn't get results. And that will always be the currency of football, about getting results. If you get results, you can tell people to shut up. If you don't get results, you're under pressure. That has always been the way for Manchester United. This season, if we have a season half as similar to last season, he will be under pressure. That's just how it works. But certainly from an Ineos point of view, it's positive that that they're publicly backing him. As far as the aim for the top four, well, it's going to be really interesting, isn't it? Because the first season finished third, and I think the line that Eric was sort of hinting at towards the end of last season was that, well, if I have all my players back and I've got a fully fit squad, then this is a squad that is good enough to finish in the top four. So the thought process would be, if he manages to avoid all the injuries, or certainly significantly less injuries this season, then we should get into the top four, shouldn't we? I think that is the aim of Manchester United, in all honesty. I think it should be top four. Get back into the Champions League. Certainly, not winning the league or anything like that. We're miles away from that, I think. Miles away from winning the league. Having that level of consistency to win the league. But get into the top four and continue to and get another season of Ineos leadership under our belt. And I think, Sir Jim said, what did he say, like 3 years? Something like that. 3 years, maybe that's the point to aim for. But certainly it's public backing. But again, that's what it should be, I think, anyway. What are people saying here in the chat? People are saying... Show says, sorry, Owen, no or, even if he wins a trophy trophy back-to-back, finishes outside the top four after 500 million, should lead to an automatic sacking. But what if that trophy was the Europa League? That would be my only question and pushback to that. If that was Europa League, let's say he finished sixth. Let's say he finished sixth or fifth, and he won the Europa League, and that meant he qualified for the Champions League. Could you sack him after that? I don't know if you could. I don't know if you could sack him after that, because he would have achieved the remit going into the season, which is he got a trophy and he qualified for the Champions League the following year. So I think, again, that's why I said that I think there are specifications on that one. I think. Joe said, doesn't matter what trophy he wins, if he finishes outside the top four, he should go. Well, look, and this is my wider point, I think, when it comes to all of this. I think that proves my point that I'm trying to make here, is that as much as Ineos can publicly back him, and as they should, if he doesn't get results, pressure is going to be on. That is the fundamental facts of that. And as much as I remember I said this a couple of weeks ago on the Trinity. I said, last season now. Can we just be united? Can we just move on? Can we move into next season? I remember KG and Flex at the time going, yeah, but that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. So don't think of that. That's not going to happen. And then like 2 or 3 weeks later, I remember KG saying the same thing. I think it was on another episode of the Trinity, where he went, I just want us to all be united and be on the same page again. And I went, KG, you told me 2 weeks ago, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And I think that proves my point, is that this still is a simmering issue that I'm telling you now, Fleck, when United lose a game this season, it is going to be mental again. It is going to be mental. And my hope is, I really, really do hope, is just that we start the season well, we are playing better football, we don't have as many injuries, and then we avoid all of that. We do, because I do notice there is this just not wanting to fail, but waiting. You know what I mean? The weight of, I'll wait till that first loss happens. I'll wait, and then I'll be like, see, we lost, told ya. And look, if Man United have a season similar to last season, then Erik ten Hag most likely will get sacked, and that would probably be justified. You can't have back-to-back seasons like that. But at the same time, I don't know if I see the point in almost waiting for that to happen. You know what I mean? So there it is. I mean, I would agree in the sense of I think he's top 4 this season. But like I said, I do think there are certain asterisks involved in that. If he didn't get top 4, but he won, say, the Europa League and qualify for the Champions League, let's say baseline, I think he has to qualify for the Champions League next season. And I do think United have a good chance at doing that. I do. I think it'll be very open. As we saw, to be honest, look at last season. Last season was a real great example of this. Is that despite how poor Manchester United were last season, there were multiple situations in the new year, in this year, 2024, in the second half of the season, where we were once again in the race for the top 4. The real reason we didn't qualify for the Champions League or didn't finish in the top 4 was because of ourselves last season. There was a point of time where we were only a few points outside of it, and even those teams that run away with it, it always changes. So what you've really got to do, you've just got to stay in the race, haven't you? You've got to just stay in the race, stay in touching distance, because there was a couple of points last season where we were like, oh, it looks like this is going to happen, and we just completely collapsed. So, yeah, but that's, it's a long way ahead. It's a long season, and we'll see what happens. And to be honest, before you've even started a new season, talking about, well, if he's going to be, if he could get the sack, he could be sacked. I mean, all that Ten Hag stuff towards sort of, what was it, February, March, and April was just, and May. It was just not good. I do not want to revisit it at all. So, yes, be sure to smash a like on the like button. How many likes are we currently at? 285 likes. Let's see if we can get that to 300. Be sure to subscribe as well. Bottom right-hand corner. Pre-season is about to begin. Of course, Saturday, pre-season friendlies begin in the United States against Arsenal, SoFi Stadium. What time is it? It's a 1 o'clock kickoff, which means I'll be live at 11 p.m. Yes, we'll have the 2-hour build-up, as always, where we talk about the news stories, transfers, anything else that's happening in and around Manchester United at that period of time. So be sure to join me then. But what we did get yesterday was the announcement of the squad that's going to be, has now flown out to the United States. They're going to be based in LA. That first game, of course, is in Inglewood. Next game's in San Diego. Final game's in South Carolina. And there were some interesting people included and not included in the squad. So this is quite curious when it comes to the squad being announced. You can see it right there on the right-hand side of the screen. You've got the likes of Heaton, me, Onana, Vitek, defenders, Harry Armas, Reece Bennett, Johnny Evans, Will Fish, Victor Lindelof, Harry Maguire, Sam Murray, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Lenny Yoro. Midfielders, Casemiro, Toby Collier, Christian Eriksen, Hannibal, Jack Fletcher, Sam Mather, Scott McTominay, Mason Mount, Maxi Oyedele, James Scanlon. Forwards, Ahmad, Anthony, Rasmus Højlund, Marcus Rashford, Jadon Sancho, and Ethan Wheatley. Of course, lots of people missing because they were involved in the Euros or they're involved in Copa America, which again, I found it really weird yesterday. I mentioned this yesterday morning when people started saying, Joshua Zirkzee is going to be on the preseason tour, or Bruno Fernandes is going to be involved on the preseason tour. I was like, really? I didn't see that anywhere. They were saying like Simon Stone said it, and I didn't see that in his article. So I found it very strange because certainly the information that we had was none of those guys are going. It's a 3-week rest. That's what is going to be happening. Now, Manchester United's explanation for these people that aren't going to be available, they said Joshua Zirkzee is not part of the Manchester United squad as he continues to take his summer break following Euro 2024. Bayern Diallo, Bruno Fernandes, Alejandro Garnacho, Kobbie Mainoo, Lisandro Martinez, Facundo, and Luke Shaw are also on leave following their international exploits. Terrell Malacia is absent from the squad as he continues his rehabilitation from injury under the guidance of the medical staff at Carrington. Now, as far as those players that will be coming back, Laurie Whitwell is reporting that Steve McClaren will be tasked with coaching them once they do return. So it's not as if they're just going to be sitting around twiddling their thumbs, not doing anything at all. So Laurie Whitwell said Steve McClaren will stay at Carrington to coach the Manchester United Euro 2024/Copa America players on their return. Kobbie Mainoo, Luke Shaw, Lisandro Martinez, Garnacho, Bruno, Diogo Dalot, Joshua Zirkzee, and Facundo Pellistri. So I guess the hope would be that by the time that the players get back from the preseason tour, those players would be back in training, but there's just no point for them to fly all the way out to the United States, only to fly back a few days later. It's, pretty redundant. As far as other people that are going to be traveling on the trip, Laurie Whitwell has said that Sir Dave Brailsford, Omar Barada, Dan Ashworth, Jason Wilcox are all travelling to LA to get used to working together and support Erik ten Hag and the Manchester United staff. Other Manchester United executives are remaining in Europe to negotiate transfers. So there is still business that is ongoing. And yeah, as I mentioned, that squad didn't surprise me at all, really. The reports and rumours, and to be honest, it was really curious yesterday morning because I saw big accounts all over social media say, Joshua Zirkzee, citing Simon Stone, saying that Joshua Zirkzee was going to be involved, which was really strange. I don't know if that was one of those ones where it's put out there and it just kind of gets picked up, or it was the same with, like, there was a rumour that Bruno was going to be on the tour, which again didn't really make all that much sense. I'm sure if you ask Bruno Fernandes, he would want to be involved in the pre-season tour. But they've got to have the rest. As Jamie Jackson wrote earlier on in his piece in The Guardian, that one of the reasons cited for the injuries last season was that the pre-season tour was too intense for some. The players didn't get enough rest, and after a season that has just been decimated by injuries, the last thing Manchester United should be doing is rushing people back, is going, you don't need a rest, just come back. And it's funny, isn't it? Because when we have that, I do see this quite a lot of, Joshua Zirkzee or even Garnacho or Luke Shaw, but they didn't even really play in the tournaments. They didn't play in the tournaments, so why should they get a rest? And it's sort of like, well, that is a very big oversimplification of the situation there, isn't it? Yes, they did not play minutes on the pitch, or as many minutes on the pitch as anyone else, but they were still involved in training every single day. They were training more often than the other people, because obviously they wouldn't. The people that played would have had not the would just had maybe recovery sessions or not trained at all, and but they were still involved. They were still training every single day. It's like being, I don't know, in an office. You're there every single day, still doing your job, still doing work. Other people are way more busy than you because they've got this big project that they're working on, blah, blah, blah. You go, right, now time for my annual leave. And they go, no. What? Going on holiday? Have you seen them? They've been way busier than you. You can't go on holiday. No, you have to stay here. You'd be like, what? I'm still at work. I've still been doing my work. Just because I haven't been picked doesn't mean I haven't been working. What are we doing here? And at the same time, we bemoan footballers going, they play too much. They play too much, too many minutes. Why do they get injured? Why do they get injured so often? And then we're going, well, they didn't even really play in that tournament that they were at, so they should actually just come on pre-season tour now. Why? Why? So they deserve their time off. Just because they weren't playing doesn't necessarily mean they weren't putting the work in. They need time physically, mentally as well, to refresh, take a break, recover, and be back to their best next season. And any injuries that they've got, hopefully sort of rehab those too, and again come back better. It's not just physically, it's also mentally too. If you're at one of those tournaments and you're just involved in the camp for 2-3 weeks, particularly if you've gone far, it's mentally draining experience. You sometimes just need a break from football, just because you're not physically on the pitch, even though they would have been on the pitch. Training most days, just because you're not on the pitch during the match days doesn't mean that you don't deserve a break. So yeah, I think that kind of narrative's a bit odd, in all honesty. Super chats here. Super chat from Tomahawk says, where's Bayern Deer? Anything about him? He's one of those players, as I just mentioned, that he was in the Euro squad with Turkey, so he's also got his time off as well. So he's not going to be involved until, well, he's going to be part of that group of players that come back and train with Steve McLaren at Carrington. Speaking of the tour, if you guys didn't see it last night, we can play a little bit of it right now. Flex and KG are on their way to LA. In fact, I can say they have touched down successfully and safely in Los Angeles ahead of the preseason tour. Long flight. It's a long flight. They were stuck in the airport for quite some time because I will say into the chat, you can maybe guess here. Who do you think bags they were waiting for. Which person's bags do you think that Flex, KG, and Josh were waiting for? Apparently, like 3 hours they were waiting for their bags. Who do you think? You can let me know in the chat your prediction on that one. But before they flew out there, they had some chats about what they're expecting on the preseason tour. I can already see some guesses in there. Yeah, you know. Here's what they had to say.
Yes, Pete's, what's going on? It's United View. It's time for pre-season tour.
It's time for the tour. It's the pre-season tour. It's the tour that matters. It's the Mason Mount tour. It's the Sancho
Redemption
tour. It's the Sancho Redemption tour.
It's the part of life tour.
It's the Ethan Wheatley tour. Eat your wheats.
It's the Rashi Redemption.
Wait, there's a lot.
Redemption.
There's
Redemption. Rashi Redemption,
bro.
Come on.
Oh, hold on, Anthony.
Yeah. No, it's the
Anthony.
It's the Anthony Attention tour. Pay attention.
Yeah.
It's the A Madness tour.
A Madness
Yeah.
tour.
Bear
Listen,
tours.
I don't even know if has he done his job though, because is there intro? Has he done an intro song?
Oh,
He has to have done it.
Wait,
There's no way.
Well,
'Cause he
when this
failed.
video starts,
He failed. Can we say
let
he
us know in
failed?
the
For the Edinburgh one.
Well, we need to. You
No
lot in the
bagpipes.
comments need to let us know how
No
did this
bagpipes.
video start, because Josh might have something in the chamber and silence us, but if he doesn't have something in the chamber, it's just going to start with. It's going to be the normal thing.
No bagpipes. That should be.
Yeah, that's true. And now this should be.
They're not like us.
Yeah. So, and West Coast is your thing as well, so I'm expecting.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's done yet. But
He hasn't
anyway,
done it.
we're here, ready to get on the plane, right?
Yes.
Let you lot into a little something before we even talk about the tour and stuff. So we're standing here, yeah.
Yes.
Me, KG, Josh, waiting to get on the plane. Man comes over, big him up.
United.
Don't know his name yet, but he watches the channel, shows us his group chat, United group chat, yeah. We take pictures and that. He's like, watch you man all the United. He's like, watch you man all the time. Watch you. He goes,
Stop whispering.
he
bro.
goes,
Speak
he
louder.
goes, wait a minute. He goes,
Hold on.
He goes, hold on, wait a minute. Let me go see if I can upgrade you.
Well, then you let me upgrade you.
There's something wrong with you, man.
You started talking, you know.
So he says, like, you man, wait there, I'm gonna see if I upgrade you. So he's gone on the computer,
No,
wait a
what
minute,
you
he's
call
gonna check the what you call it, yeah? With the what you call it P6000 Mac, yeah? He's gonna check that Windows 365, yeah? Office, yeah? He's gonna go and check the systems, see if we can get a little boost up.
Intel.
Now, we might not get it in it, we might not get it.
Speak live, bro. I keep telling you about that.
Believe! But this is the gratitude in me. Like, we might not get it, but listen, it's the thought that counts. The guy's gone out of his
he's
way,
getting
out
out
of
of
his
his way.
working day to see if he can help us.
Yeah.
We're not entitled. We're not going to be like on a downer because you couldn't get it. Like, you man's
I'm
trying.
not gonna lie. I feel entitled now. I'm not gonna lie.
See?
If he doesn't,
This
we
is
don't
Ted
get
Lasso
it-
talking, bro.
No,
This is
no,
Apple subscription, bro. When you pay your
I walked
Apple
past the business
subscription, bro, this
class
man's
lounge.
playing.
I walked past the business class lounge and I said, what it could have been. Watch it could have been. This is what it could have been.
But yeah, anyway, tour, man.
Tour, bro. Listen,
Like, it's
this is a massive moment because a lot we want to see in this tour. We want to know if Ten Hag can really get the youth team playing the way the adult team needs to look.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that we want to go into games with less than 10 shots from the other team on our goal. Is that right?
They had less than 10 shots.
Yeah, we want to do that more consistently.
Yeah.
So again, we'll start, setting the bar, but just saying, maybe less than 10 goals would be good. And then after we want something else, what's the next thing we want?
I want to see the players that I can perceive, in my opinion, that will start the season.
Yeah.
Because you see the Ahmad situation,
Yeah.
he's gonna have to keep playing. Obviously, Rashi's gonna have to look sharp. Who else ain't gonna be there? Like the right back situation, like so Wan-Bissaka might have to keep playing. Well, actually, might
Wan-Bissaka
leave.
could fly out.
But do you see what I mean? I need to see that the players that will probably start the season, because there's man who ain't back yet.
Yeah.
I need to see them in rhythm.
know
Because we're going to be a bit patchy going in.
Yeah.
Because Bruno's not there, Dallo's not there, Luke Shaw's not
Absolutely.
there, Mainoo's not there, Garnacho's not there,
Garnacho's
Leach is
not
not
there.
there. Like,
Yeah.
do you know how many men are not there?
There's a lot of men.
So there's a lot of men. So the people who I think will start, Mason
Rasmus
Mount.
is there though.
Yes,
Yes,
Rasmus
sir.
is there. He needs to look sharp
Yeah.
up. But the Mason Mount
Mason
one.
Mount, I think Mason Mount becomes the most important one, Flex, because when they're talking about midweek when was in Edinburgh, the links of him not being at the club, the links of selling Mason Mount, I found quite surprising.
Yeah.
And I think, well, there's no smoke about Fiverr.
Yeah.
They're definitely looking at him saying, are you the right fit for what we're trying to do and how we're trying to build? If you've got World Cops and everyone in Director of Football, Dan Ashcroft, and everyone's saying, well, how do you want to play with him there? Because that didn't work last season. The last season, the plan was to make Mason Mount the Ericsson role. and we overrun, copy him, what do you call it, didn't work. So I don't know if they're thinking, you know, we'll try you in the 10. If that doesn't work, then maybe you don't play here next season.
Big up to Flex and KG, of course, that was filmed right before they flew out to LA. They've touched down successfully, and that is just the tip. I mean, the tip of the iceberg when it comes to all of the preseason content that's on the way. Of course, we've got the vlogs, we've got the match views, we've got even an American version of the Asylum coming. We've got obviously the fan views, we've got the player interviews, we've got the collabs, we've got the stadium tours. It's all on the horizon. So if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe. Pre-season tour starts now, indeed. Lots of people as well talking about KG looking optimized. Yeah, stay tuned for all of that too, because that's going to be coming. Me and KG have also been in competition too, and it's like, I tell you, I'm telling you now, yeah, he's locked in. We've been competing. I mentioned this the other day on our Apple Watches. Although yesterday, I must say, was bullshit. Yesterday was completely not fair because he got more time. He got more time than I did because, of course, when he flew to LA, he got 8 hours back. So by the time he landed there, it was like 2 o'clock, and he had the rest of the day to do an exercise. And for me, it was midnight, and my time cut off. I was like, this is bullshit. This is not fair. So I think I'm still leading in terms of the points, but it's very close at the moment. It's very, very close. So yeah, I mean, that's, you know, in terms of how did he beat me, he went back in time. So, you know, that's how I'm like Thanos, kind of that way, really. You know what I mean? That's how you got to beat Endgame. Yeah? You couldn't live with your failure. Where did it bring you? Actually, where is Thanos' voice? Where's the Thanos voice?
You couldn't live with your own failure. So where did it bring you? Back to me.
And scene. Very good. Very good, Owen. But yeah, so now I've got to keep trying to compete with him. The first day, the max you can get on the day, by the way, is 600 points. And this just shows you how crazy this shit is. We both got 600 points that day. And to get 600 points is mental, all right? So he is locked in. He's locked in at this point. Absolutely locked in. But I'm getting distracted, as Don Robbie would say.
Hold on, wait a minute.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You think there wouldn't be new additions for pre-season? You didn't think that was going to be the case?
No, wait a minute. Wait.
Yes. By the way, big up to Grave United on Twitter yesterday, and this is why I love the UV community. Because I asked and you guys delivered, okay? You delivered. Yesterday, I said, I need a Robbie wait a minute on the soundboard. But I didn't know where to look. I know that he said it, but sometimes in finding it, that can be difficult. And also finding the right clips of it. And Grave United on Twitter sent me 3 videos. I got 2 of them. And yes, now we can do the whole.
Hold on, wait a minute. No, wait a minute. Wait.
You know what it is as well? When you do the impression of someone for so long, and then you actually hear him say it, you go, oh, they actually do say it. They actually do say that. So, and even I got one for Flex. So when Flex says something, you know, crazy, you go,
hold on, wait a minute, Flex.
Ooh. Oh god, that's gonna be used a lot, isn't it? Every time someone says wait a minute, you'll be like, ah, wait a minute, Flex. Oh, that's good stuff. We're less than 100 likes until 500. If you haven't already, click the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right hand corner. I can press it again. I'm not gonna be able to stop pressing.
Hold on, wait a minute, Flex.
Wait a minute. The impression's good. The impression's strong. Strong impression. Where are we at next? Right. Fullbacks. We're looking for fullbacks. As you would have seen in that tour, squad being announced yesterday. No left backs, senior left backs. 1 senior right back, Aaron Wan-Bissaka. He might be on his way out of Manchester United. So United are searching for a left back and a right back. And we got quite a lot about this yesterday. So from the Mirror, they were saying that Manchester United are stepping up their search for a new left back. Among Manchester United's potential left back targets are forward David Hancko and former Chelsea star Marcos Alonso, who is a free agent having left Barcelona at the end of the season. Another target United have looked at is Crystal Palace's Tariq Mitchell, who could be landed cheaper than his market value, given he only has a year left on his current deal. This was kind of repeated by Samuel Lutkers, saying that Manchester United are open to signing a left-back amid Terrell Malash's lengthy layoff. Former Chelsea and Barcelona left-back Marcos Alonso is an option for Manchester United, and so is Feyenoord and Slovakia international David Hancko. But Fabrizio Romano kind of poured cold water on this one, saying Marcos Alonso's camp has not received any approach from Manchester United. There are no contacts or nothing advanced for Sergio Reguilon, or as KG would say, Regulion. Manchester United will invest in a left-back after bringing in players in other positions, suggesting that it's going to probably be midfield first, maybe even right-back first, depending on what happens with Aaron Wan-Bissaka. And as far as the right-back situation, James Ducker from The Telegraph is saying that Manchester United are now expected to step up their search for full-back reinforcements. Mazraoui is thought to be a potential option at right-back should Aaron Wan-Bissaka leave, and they're exploring permanent and loan possibilities at left-back. First of all, Manchester United and Marcos Alonso should not be in the same sentence in 2024. That's just no. Absolutely no way. No. Gross. No. Even when he went from Chelsea to Barcelona, it was like, from what Barca doing? That was a couple of years ago. Quite literally, when I saw that yesterday, they said Marcos Alonso to Manchester United. I went,
no, wait a minute.
What? What? Marcos Alonso? You taking the piss? That seems maybe a bit like one of those ones where he's a free agent and maybe his agents and try to make that one happen. Absolutely no way. No. As far as the other ones, look, if we manage to get Tariq Mitchell, I'll be happy with that. I don't know how what the price would be, as they mentioned, year left on his contract, something. So it's not impossible. Not impossible, I suppose, that one. Right back, it just all depends on what happens with Wan-Bissaka, doesn't it? In the case of, if he's to go, then it looks like then we'll get a replacement. Which, would it be Mazraoui? I don't know. It might be, to be honest, it still could be someone else that we don't even know about at this point. The bigger position for me is the left back position. The left back position really still concerns me because it was a massive problem area for us last season, and we still have yet to do anything about it, to the point that we're at pre-season tour now, and because of injuries and because of international stuff, we're like, well, we haven't got a left back. And we lived that possibility all through last season, didn't we? We lived that reality rather all last season of just not having one. So it'll probably be Murray playing at left back throughout the majority of the pre-season. And I know it could be like, well, once the season starts, we'll have Luke Shaw, but it's a case of when. It's a case of when. When is he going to break down? When is he going to pick up an injury? And just even if he does stay fit, even if he stays fit for, a prolonged amount of time, he will get hurt at some point, and he just can't play all the games. He cannot do that physically. So we need that left back. And it kind of concerns me a little bit that it seems to be that the priority is midfielder, which I'm fine with, and then it's right back, then left back. And unless the right back that we get can play at left back, which I suppose is why they're looking at a Mazraoui, perhaps, it's concerning. It is. So we'll see what happens with those left back targets. I mean, I don't know if it's a case of, once again, they need to sell to buy. I don't know if it's a case of they're waiting to move players on and then they'll go for those full-back targets. That's why seemingly it's like, again with De Ligt, it's like, well, if we sell Lindelof, we'll get De Ligt. If we sell McTominay, then we'll go for Ugarte or another midfielder. If we sell Wan-Bissaka, then we'll go for a right-back. And I suppose then you get into the territory of, okay, so where does the funds for the left-back come from? Because you're not going to sell a left-back. Is that where like a Jadon Sancho does get involved in this, and that, we do sell Jadon Sancho to PSG, 40 million quid, and that kind of helps boost up these other transfers. You know, part of that can go into getting the left back, and part of that we can add that to the right back situation, and part of that we can add to the midfielder situation. Is that what they're looking to do? Are they looking still for this big exit that then they can kind of spread those funds around? I think that might be the case there. But there is no doubt we need a left back, and given the circumstances, it's looking like we're going to probably need a right back too. And on top of that, we still need to get a midfielder in, and also see what happens with Matthijs de Ligt. So this is a really curious thing now about this transfer window, isn't it? Is there is still a lot to do, but things have definitely slowed down for financial reasons, obviously, because we're now in the position that a lot of clubs are in, which is you've got to sell to buy. And then two, I think a lot of clubs are assessing where they're at for the start of the season, because they don't want to be left too short. They don't want to be like, well, this player's not going to be available, and this player, when are they going to be coming back? We don't want to be too short for the start of the season. There's a couple of weeks there once the season starts where we can kind of do business. I think that's kind of where we're at. The one thing I do think, because I have some sort of complaints about this year's transfer window, not necessarily from Manchester United, but from just in general about the transfer window, is that it's quieter than usual, which I think is true, particularly affected by, obviously, PSR and FFP, particularly affected by summer international tournaments. But what I do think it's going to lead to is later on, in that last 2 weeks, particularly for the deadline day, I think it's going to be a madness. I think across Europe, that deadline day or that deadline week is going to be insane. Because I think then clubs will figure out what they have and they haven't got. They'll see how much money they've got left in the budget. They'll be like, this team needs that player. Okay, they'll make the bid. Now we can make a bid for that other player. I think there's going to be a lot of moving parts come right at the end of the window. But now we're still in that territory where it's like, okay. Now, to be honest, now's the time where it's really, can you prove your stuff? Can you really prove how good you are? Because sort of the easier stuff, shall we say, has been done in the sense of we had two high-profile players leave on as free agents, Raphael Varane, Anthony Martial. We've replaced them. Lenny Oro to replace Varane, Joshua Zirkzee to replace Martial. That's done. Now it's the part of the window of, can you prove how good you are at moving players on that we haven't been able to move on in the past? Can you sell your Lindelof or your Maguires? Can you sell your Wan-Bissakas? Can you sell your McTominays, which we'll talk about in a minute? Those kind of players, can you now move those on where in the past we just couldn't do it because sins of the past, we give them too big contracts or they didn't want to leave or we couldn't convince them to leave or anything like that. Can you now do that, and then can you do business based upon those players leaving? And that's part of it. As I always say, transfer windows aren't just about incomings, they're about outgoings as well. And historically, not been good at outgoings. This season, not too bad thus far. Sold a few players, but can we do more? Can we move on some more players? Which we'll need to do. That's what we'll need to do to buy more players. So hopefully, indeed, that will be the case. Where are we at in terms of likes? We are over 500 likes, which is fantastic. Big up to everyone. If you haven't already, click the like button. Over 1,100 people watching. A couple of super chats here. First one, Big Steve. Remember, for 14 months. Appreciate 14 months of support, Steve. Says, big love, UV community. Hit the like button. Show some support for our ever hard working out. Well, thank you very much, Big Steve. Thank you big much. The pleasure certainly is all mine. Jason says, Owen, aren't you worried that Manchester United aren't ruthless enough to selling players? Well, it's funny you mentioned that. It's just what I was talking about. That's the test, isn't it? That's going to be the test now. Can Manchester United sell these players and move these players on that in the past we just haven't been good enough to do so? Can we sell these players that we've tried? We tried last year, couldn't do it. And 1 year less on the contract might make it a little bit easier. We shall see. It is a concern because if we can't sell any more players, then it looks quite unlikely that we're going to do any more significant business. But I don't think now is the time to be sort of scaremongering either. There's still a lot of time to go in the transfer market. And obviously, we wanted to get it done as quickly as possible. I think our pace is just as good. Or it's one of the best paces in terms of the transfer window thus far. In terms of getting deals done. So there's still time. There's still time. Gonna be difficult for certain players. For the guys that have got just a year left in their contract with no trigger, like your Lindelof, like your Wan-Bissakas, like your Eriksen's, I think has just got a year with no trigger. I think they're obviously easier to do in the sense of year left. Clubs will look at them and go, okay, wages aren't too high. We can work that one out. Although Eriksen's wages is like 150k a week. The other people, like your Maguires, like your McTominays, like your Sancho's, a bit more difficult because they got more time left in their contracts. But again, now's going to be the test. But there's still plenty of time to go with all of that. Now is not the time to revert. We have to learn, I think, collectively as a fan base. You know, we've tried it a few times in the last few weeks of we don't like the sometimes positive news and it's sort of like we have to revert back to the normal state, which is fear, panic, desperation, anger, and there's been glimpses over the last few weeks, despite all of it. No, I don't believe it. Oh no, we're not going to do anything. Oh no, this deal's not going to be good. Oh no, we're not going to sell these players. Oh no, and don't get me wrong, I get it, because we're only basing it off what we've experienced in the past, but I think with how things have gone so far in the window, we're now at the position where we have to go, now let's see what happens. Let's see what they can do. And let's believe, where's Robbie again? Let's believe that they can do it. Because anything certainly is possible. I think there is at least some confidence from United that they can pull it off. But now things aren't just going to be as quickly, move as quick rather as they had maybe the last 2 weeks. And we shouldn't become a victim of our own productability in that sense, should we? Because we were so used to this frenetic pace of just constantly player, personal terms, player, that we're like, right, that should be the case with players going out as well. That should be the case of, we did the same with Sol Greenwood, Sol Donny, Sol Cambuala. These players are all going, see, we can do it that kind of quickly. And now it's kind of the case of, it might slow down a little bit, but it can still get done. There is still time. It's not 24 hours to go until the window shuts or anything like that, but things might just slow down a little bit. But things still could happen. Wesley says, wait a minute.
No, wait a minute. Wait.
And says smash the like button. There you go. Big up Wesley. Appreciate the contribution there. That's going to get used a lot on this preseason. Going to get used a lot. Like anything, it's going to get used a lot. Run into the ground, obviously.
Hold on, wait a minute.
Oh, I love that. And the thing is now, my plan for that is, and I will task you guys again with this, and I will also try and join in with this search too. I want to have, because from what I've seen there are many variations out there of Robbie going, wait a minute. The more variations you can give me, the more that will be going on the soundboard, yeah? The more wait a minutes will be going on the soundboard. That's what it will be, yeah? So if you can find more, they will go on here. I've managed yesterday, this is how, honestly, I've got a problem. Because I mentioned the soundboard had changed. It had been updated and all the things have been moved around. But now I've got to grips with it. And now I've got all of these separate pages that I've labeled. And I've got pictures, so I know exactly where I can go to very quickly. So I've got a Robbie page that I can believe. I've got a Thai page where I can go.
We mustn't forget that it's been raining, so.
I've got a Lee Judges page. It's not just all AFTV.
Excuses!
I've got a Kenny page.
Disgraceful. Absolutely disgraceful.
So they're all separated. They're all separated now, which I like. Good organisation, Owen. But if you do find more of, well, anything really on Twitter at Owen United View, send it across, yeah, and it will find its way on here. It will find its way on. Same with the Kenny ones. If you find more Kenny ones,
absolutely woeful. Absolutely woeful.
They'll get on here. I've got a Eubank page.
You better watch out, because we are come for you. A Jamaican, you look man. I'm a Jamaican.
So they're all here. They're all they're all on there. So get ready for that in the future. And finally, a little bit, I just want to talk about Scott McTominay, because Fulham could be preparing a McTominay bid, but this might change. This might change a little bit. So Dalmacher from Sky Sports said yesterday that Fulham are expected to make an improved offer for Manchester United's Scott McTominay after a £17 million bid was rejected. Now, again, that was yesterday prior to the news last night suggesting that Smith Rowe was going to be going to Fulham. Now, how that would have affected things in terms of the budget, we shall see. Of course, part of that money clearly is the money that they got for Paulinho, but certainly could have taken a chunk out of it. And what does that now mean for McTominay? As far as the Smith Rowe stuff, it said it was David Ornstein logged onto Orn Hub late. Is what it is. Said that talks between the Premier League side centre on a transfer worth up to £35 million, which would be a record acquisition for Fulham and match Arsenal's biggest sale. Now, as far as the fee, Fulham, Paulinho Bayern fee, what was that? It was £47.16 million plus add-ons. So it depends what their budget was initially, I suppose, isn't it? It depends what their budget was initially, because it seems like a lot of this Paulinho money is going on Smith Rowe, and how much money would necessarily be left over for Scott McTominay. But if they're preparing a second bid, I mean, it was £70 million was rejected. What are we looking for? I mean, it had been said that Manchester United valued him at like 40 million. That was last summer. Year less on his contract. Around 30? 30? 35, perhaps? I mean, if you would, to be honest with you, if you're actually looking at the Arsenal one, and I mean, I know that McTominay gets a lot of hate from our fan base and all that kind of stuff, but the reality is, I mean, I know Smith Rowe's younger, but I think if you're Man United, you would look at that and go, if that's what you're willing to pay for Smith Rowe, then match it. 30, 35 for us. Then, well, let's work something out. Because this guy's scoring goals in the Premier League. He was contributing for us last season. I know, obviously, like I said, he's older, and he plays in midfield, but still, what are we doing? What are we doing? Speaking of Fulham, they've agreed to sign Ryan Sessegnon as a free agent. Here we go, according to Fabrizio Romano. They're busy. They're very, very busy. So, I wonder if it takes the chunk again out of the budget for Scott McTominay. We shall see. Compost Smurf says he's a midfielder that offers nothing in midfield. I suppose apart from the goals he scored last season for Manchester United. This is what I mean with McTominay. He does get. This isn't me defending him or anything like that, and saying, he should be starting every single week for Manchester United, blah, blah, blah. Because he shouldn't. Scott McTominay should not be a start. If Scott McTominay is a regular starter for Manchester United, we've seen that, it's a problem. He's not good enough to be a regular starter for Manchester United. But we do this. We put down our players, and then we wonder, why can't we sell them for any money? why can't we sell them for any money? It's almost like we put out this perception that they're shit. That they're rubbish. He does have to be sold. He is a fundraising player. He's someone that can get pure profit, and he's absolutely someone Man United should look to move on. But at the same time, it's not. He never does anything in the Premier League. Never. He's never scored for his country, European competition or anything like that. No, he scores goals off the bench. He's not a defensive midfielder. We played him for years in that position, and clearly he's not a defensive midfielder. He's not great technically on the ball, but what he is, the higher up the pitch you play him, he scores goals. And it's not even like a coincidence anymore with him either. It's not as if it's a couple of times and you go, wow, that's impressive. He's good at making runs into the box. He's good in the air. And if he gets the ball in and around the box, he'll score a goal. And in the Premier League, that's worth a lot. It is. So I think that when it comes to McTominay, we shouldn't put that down. We shouldn't put that down. And again, we get that confused or anything. So that's exactly it. I caught star. McTominay isn't as bad as fans make out, but he isn't good enough to be starting for us. Of course. That's not that's exactly it. But at the same time, it's this idea he does nothing. He does absolutely nothing. He's not even worth £5 million. We should just get rid of him on a free, really. Because if we do that, we'll be the first to complain. We didn't get enough money for Scott McTominay. What happened? Why can't we buy any players? Why can't we do that? Joe Fleming says we should sell McTominay for 25 million and go get Mitchell. Well, it's going to be interesting to see now what that second bid is for Fulham, if indeed they do put it in. Now, with them seemingly getting close to Smith Rowe for 35 million, just signing Sessegnon as well on a free transfer. How much money do they have left? How much money do they have left and available to bring McTominay in? We shall see. But I think if that offer was, I mean, again, I'd be wanting total package of what, like 30 or something like that. If it was 25 plus 5 or even 30, around that kind of number, I'd be looking at, you know. But as I mentioned, when they're putting out 35 million for Smith Rowe, who's had, you know, terrible injury record, by the way, really, really bad injury problems over the last few years. I almost think that puts Fulham a bit on the back foot when it comes to negotiating this transfer. Not to say that you're saying McTominay's a better technical player than Smith Rowe. Obviously not, but he's played in the Premier League for a long time. Scored goals last season. He is consistently available. He had a couple of injuries towards the end of last season, but more often than not, he's available. And again, that means a lot. That means a lot in terms of Premier League. So, because you could see a situation where Smith Rowe goes to Fulham, and what happens if he picks up another injury or something like that? You know, they spent 35 million, record acquisition. So that's definitely something to consider, I think. So we shall see what happens with that one, but definitely one to watch, definitely. So there you go, guys. So you can see, look, he's in the chat. Just Josh Media Graphics Guru Visual Ninja is in the chat with the eyeballs emoji. He's clearly, well, the thing is, you could say, oh, jet lag and stuff like that, but not really, because in LA right now, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, but that's normal time for Josh. So that's nothing really out of the norm, really, for Josh. So he just a normal time. He goes to bed at like 4 o'clock most nights. He's a madman. Joe Fleming says Emil Smith Rowe is not worth much more than McTominay, but you mentioned age. Part of it, you know, you're buying, if you can turn it around, I suppose you're buying still potential and all that. Yes. Pyramid Scheme says, Owen is waffling. I can name 100 players who have played a lot in the Premier League, are always available, and have scored a few goals. What the F? Do it. I always like that when people say I can name 100. Do it. 100. Now, you offered 100. I'll wait. Still waiting. Yeah. Well, just challenge. For Manchester United as well. For Manchester United, scored a few goals. So, still. Well, I guess.
Hold on, wait a minute. No, wait a minute. Wait.
Yeah. Still. So maybe that's the show. But there you go, guys. A reminder, as I mentioned, there are going to be updates coming from LA, from Flex, KG, Just Josh Media, Graphics Guru, Visual Ninja. If he goes to sleep, which he should go to sleep, Josh. So stay tuned for that. Make sure you've got notifications turned on, because they could be coming up at any time. As you've just seen, time zones are all over the place at the moment. So yes, make sure you've got them turned on. Imran says, Owen, did you check the away kit? I have, yes. Manchester United have released their away kit. It's a blue number this season. It's quite nice. I quite like that. It's a nice one. I like the third kit. Did you see the other day when they spoke to someone on MUTV wearing the third kit? And I thought, why did it go up to him? Why did they do that? And they were talking like very clearly a knockoff one as well, because obviously it's not out yet. And it was like, oh, why are you talking? But there you go. But yeah, look, I like it. I like the away kit. To be fair, I think all the kits are pretty nice this season. The home kit's growing on me a little bit. My initial reaction was it was very plain, and I wasn't sure how I was kind of feeling about it. But it's growing on me a bit. And in all honesty, I mentioned this too with kits. If they're associated with success, then you like them. Really, don't you? You know, my favourite kit is 07, 08, you know, the red one with the white strip down the back. And their variations of that, the black one, the black away one with that, the white strip, and I think it had like a little sort of red around the collar. Oh, it's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I love that kit. I think they had the blue variation as well, didn't they? Because that's the one when Ronaldo scored against the free kick at the Emirates. I think that run, those kits. Oh, and I was a big fan of the blanket kit as well, with Fergie's last season, with the checkered one. I like that. That one's a bit divisive, but I enjoyed that kit quite a lot. That was different. And the goalkeeping one, because I had the goalkeeping one, of course, was green. It was a green checkered one. So I was a fan of the tablecloth. Yes, was a big fan of that. So there you go, guys. If anything else happens, of course, I'll be back. I'll be live. Click the like button. Be sure to subscribe as well whilst you're at it. And I'll be back very, very soon. Peace.